Hello. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and help you out a little bit with palm muting. Some techniques that we've talked about prior that I'd like to focus a little bit more on, trying to give you some exercises to help your palm muting a little bit. Now the big thing is remember when you're palm muting, you're using the karate chop part of your hand, okay? And you're setting it right over the bridge. Okay, what you have to do is you just have to kind of explore the sound at first. Like right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move way too far back and then I'm going to pluck the 6th string. Now you'll notice I'm not getting any palm muting at all. Now here I'm going to come in, right there I'm touching, now I'm going to keep going. So you see if I move too far, all of a sudden I don't really get a palm mute, I get more of a deadened sound string. I'm not pressing really hard, you don't want to push into the string necessarily, you just want to touch that string. So what you need to do on your guitar is get comfortable with where you need to be. This hand all I'm doing is touching out the bottom 5 strings to kind of kill them while I'm doing this exercise. So that's all this is doing. Right there. Too far. Right there. Too far. Right there. Now what we've talked about is trying to utilize 2 things, downs and down ups. When you're doing downs, the goal is to be able to set your metronome at a certain speed and practice this over and over and over. Practice down picking. I call it the 3-minute exercise, where what you would do is you would try and do that same speed, whatever speed you choose. You know, maybe start off at 100 doing 2 per click or something like that. And you're going to try and do that for 3 minutes, because the first minute, minute and a half probably is going to be relatively easy. It's the last minute and a half that's going to be more difficult. If you do it and you can do the whole 3 minutes and the whole thing is relatively easy, that means you need to move up a little bit more. But as I've said many, many times, the big thing is understanding you need to be honest with yourself when you're playing. It's not a matter of pretending like you're doing it, it's a matter of actually doing it. Because if you're pretending like you're doing it, you might as well be doing Guitar Hero. So what you're looking for is being able to keep whatever speed this is for literally 3 minutes. Okay? What you're focusing on is the sound of the palm mute. You're also focusing on trying to utilize a lot less strength when you're playing. Do not play aggressively. Play very gentle. The less you move, if you do a lot of this stuff, you know, it just takes forever to get back. And that's how you gain speed. Now again, speed and stamina are 2 things that really need to go hand in hand. It doesn't matter that you can go for like a very short amount of time, because there's no reason to do that. If you're playing a song has got to be X amount of minutes long. So it's the long haul. Now your lesson last week, what I did was talk to you a little bit about how to look for different music, different artists that are similar to some things that you might like, and how to find all these things. You should really use that and look for some songs that use palm muting. What I think is really neat is once I moved from just learning songs to actually learning songs that emphasize certain techniques that I was trying to work on. So for instance, like here I'm thinking of like Led Zeppelin or Highway Star by Deep Purple. You know, the whole song is lots of palm muting. There's stuff by, like tons of stuff by Static X if you like your music a little heavier. Just anything like that. So you're not just having to play along with a metronome, but you're playing along with music. Certainly Metallica, Megadeth, you know, Anthrax, any of those 80s thrash metal bands certainly do a lot of palm muting, extended sections of palm muting. Old Sabbath stuff obviously does some stuff like that too. You're probably ready for a little bit faster than some of the old Sabbath stuff, but you know, you could look at Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, or there's just all kinds of things out there you should look at. Anyway, so that's the first thing, is getting used to this down picking thing. Okay, the next thing is trying to learn how to down up pick comfortably, and then being able to set that with a metronome. Now again, when you first start playing, chances are you should probably set your metronome at the same speed that you're doing your downs at. Just do this. So here's your downs, here's your down ups. And the reason is you're trying to get comfortable with the motion of down up picking, and not only the motion but the evenness of the rhythm that you're playing and the dynamic at which you're hitting the strings. You're not getting, you know, something like that. You want to keep them relatively even, and you want to be able to do that nice and smooth and relaxed. So you might start off at the same 100 speed doing 2 per click, or 120 doing 2 per click, or whatever, and then build up from there. So those are the 2 exercises. Both of them should be 3 minutes long. This one's going to be more struggle with your muscles. This one's going to be more struggle on trying to just time everything, because it doesn't really get hard on the muscles until you start going faster. And again, right now, we just need to learn how to do it. Okay? Now, the other exercise is trying to get used to utilizing power chords. And what works really well is if you practice a couple of things here. You practice moving for what I'm doing here is moving from 1st fret to 2nd fret. And you'll notice while I'm doing that, I'm pressing down. I'm not lifting each time. Okay? And I could do that at any speed. I could make a pattern of 3, for instance. I could go... Because a lot of people, it's not that they can't make a power chord, it's that they can't move somewhere with it. Okay? Now you could also practice that same idea, but lift. Now what I'm doing is lifting, and you can actually hear that. So they're very staccato, very small. You're probably going to use the legato one more, where I'm holding down the entire time. That sort of thing. So what I'm doing is just taking and moving back and forth, trying to time with my right hand and my left hand, and also trying to make sure that I'm always in the right position with my left hand, that my fingers aren't like squishing together or anything like that. Then I could just make up patterns like going 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 2 1 2. Believe it or not, a lot of metal songs are made by just kind of messing around like this. Now, the other exercise you could do with this to make it a little more challenging, if you're using 5th string chords as well, is to get used to moving. So I'm doing like a little square here. I'm going 1 2 on the 6th string, and then 2 1 on the 5th string. So I'm getting used to being able to shift from my 6th string, 1st fret to the 2nd fret without lifting, then also being able to shift down to the 5th string underneath without spending any extra time. Now, of course, the pick has to move from 6th string to 5th string, so here I'm on the 6th string. Now I'm going to move down to the 5th string. And remember, you want to be killing all the strings that you are not playing. So if I'm on the 6th string power chord, I'm playing 6, 5, and 4 strings. The bottom 3 would be deadened by this finger. If I move to the 5th string, I'm pressing on 5, 4, and 3. The bottom 2 strings are deadened, and the 6th string is also deadened by the tip of my index finger. Now that takes a little while to get used to, but that's how it works. That doesn't mean I want to strum everything all the time. It does mean if I accidentally strum too far, I'm going to be just fine. But you'll see I'm just making small little movements with my wrist. I'm not using the arm. You know, it's an entirely different kind of thing when I'm strumming, you know, all that kind of stuff. Right now, I just want these kind of movements like that. Okay, and the last thing that you can do with this is try and get used to doing a different kind of movement in terms of switching from 6th string to 5th string that I like to do. Again, you don't have to do this, I'm just going to show it to you though. What I would do is if I was switching from 6th string to 5th string, what I tend to do is pivot on the pinky. Okay, so if I'm making a 6th string power chord, I have 1, I have 3, and I have my pinky here on the 4th string. Then what I would do is I would leave my pinky down, I would put my 1st finger on the 5th string, and put my 3rd finger, just leave my 3rd finger up in the air. So what I'm doing is I'm actually pivoting from here to here. If you can see that, I'm moving from here to here, and at all times the pinky stays on the guitar. So what I'm really doing is just moving my 1st finger down and getting my ring finger out of the way. Okay, so if I'm going, see right there, my 3rd finger came off, this guy came down. When you get used to it, you can be substantially faster, and it sounds a little smoother than having to block moving the whole shape. It's just going to feel really awkward when you first try and do it, as it does for all of us. But it's certainly something to take a look at. So anyway, I hope that helps you a little bit, and please consider some real good practice with this stuff. If you're planning on playing any kind of rock or any kind of metal, this is the basic foundation of all that. Learning to be tight, learning to be smooth, learning to keep time. You know, these are all absolutely essential things. So I'll see you soon.